Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. You guys know my stance on things like this in regards to, let me clarify what it is that I'm trying to say here. Player entitlement is something that's being talked about. Player entitlement, player entitlement, player entitlement. And if you follow my channel, you understand that I think there's a balance to look at in terms of what that may be defined as and what is also understood to be owner entitlement or owner's positioning in regards to that, which is balanced out to some degree, or imbalanced out to some degree, uh, as of right now because of the presence of things changing in the NBA very quickly. I've broken my point of view on the landscape of the NBA having been using a system that no longer works. And that's kind of been a theme on this channel for the last couple of weeks. I've just been really looking at how contracts and things of that nature just kind of don't fit the modern player, don't fit the modern team. We're using a system that is catered to a league that didn't have an emphasis on depth, didn't have as much of an emphasis on youth, didn't have as much of an emphasis on player development. And the system for which that was used was fine for those times. But now we got to update what it is that we do to fit how interchangeable pieces need to be to fit the modern era and respect how difficult it is to move within the system that we have. So that's what it is that I've been understanding, and I think the media is a detriment, a literal detriment, when they have conversations about players' entitlement that don't involve the imbalance of the system itself as it pertains to how things are being run and how difficult it is for teams to get better and for players to utilize their time in the league properly, to get the best path, to get the best financial opportunity, and to win. It's not as simple as just getting with a team and waiting for your whole career for them to win. Nobody wants to be in those circumstances. Nobody wants to go through what Mitch Richmond went through, sit in a team for his entire career, not be able to enjoy success because the team itself wasn't run well, because they didn't have the type of success that, as an organization, that would honor his timeline to put him in a position to ever be a champion with them. Guys don't want to waste away just because they're making millions of dollars. And most importantly, because they're making millions of dollars, they don't want to waste away. They have too much power in their regular lives to sit at their job and hate it. You got to understand that's the difference. Guys in the past, they had to lean on the system itself. They had to hug up with teams whether they liked the situation or not. They had to stay in those circumstances under pressure. But do you know what they were dealing with a lot of times in the 80s? Drugs, alcohol, fighting, aggressiveness, a lot of different stuff that was created by the environment of having those struggles. These guys are rich now. We are more knowledgeable how to take care of ourselves now. Guys have more control over themselves on the basketball floor because they can jump higher. They feel better than some of the guys of the past because they can do more. And we have to adjust to that. We have to adjust to that. It's more plentiful, skillful players in the league now. We can't just say, okay, now we're going to place this amount of money and give them 4 years and you're going to stay there for 4 years. How many players actually average long tenures with one team, if not forced there because of the fact that they're young on rookie contracts? After a guy gets off his rookie contract, do you really see guys stay in one place for too long? Unless they have a cult following with the team, like Bobby Portis or something like that. Or they're like Draymond Green, where their grandfather in won a bunch of championships. It has to be a culture, something that keeps the player there organically to begin with. And in the presence of all of this, you must comply, you got to do this, you can't do that. And the mistakes that are made behind the scenes that make these teams not so good on top of that, because the science of, the cap being so complicated as it is, has to be understood and mastered, let alone properly, worked within. I mean, it's the NBA, of course. I think they now understand what it is that I've been talking about. I think everybody's waking up to the realization that I'm having right now. But as I said, we just need to start having more conversations that lend itself to understanding that the system needs to be revamped, rather than lending itself to looking at the players working within that system and pointing fingers at them, saying they're not properly behaving, as if they're children or cattle or something, or horses or something like that. It's degrading when you can see the fullness of the flawed system itself. A guy like KD should not have to fight tooth and nail just to get away from a situation, for whatever reason. For whatever reason, and they have to hear, you're a bad guy, because he wants to get out of a job situation, because he wants to be replaced, what's the word I'm looking for? He wants to go to another post. Basically, he wants to be reassigned. Come on, man. How many of us have been in situations where we want to be reassigned in our position for whatever reason? Sometimes it's not even because anything's wrong. It's just because we want to live somewhere else. And because they're in the NBA, it's a situation where they have to get hell thrown upon them and be looked at as bad people because they want to move along. I think we just need to kind of reel it in. I think it's too much fan entitlement, to be completely honest with you. It's too much fan entitlement. We think these people are ours. You're on my team. You're supposed to play for me. And the media is going to cater to that. Why? Because they need us. We pay into them. We're what matter to them. So they're going to cater to that vanity that we have as consumers, that spoiled nature because everything's catered to us because we're going to pay into it, and that's ultimately what they're trying to extract from us. Because of that that's why those guys are bad guys, because everything's catered toward getting that dollar. And if anything doesn't cater toward putting themselves in positions to benefit in the ways that they want to benefit monetarily, as AKA you better take that shot or whatever the heck the next thing they're going to try to push up on us through sports media. Whatever it may be, if you see another player that bucks that system, or if you see somebody that stands against what it is that matters to their bottom line, you best believe you're going to be told that person's a bad guy and pointed out every mistake they've ever made from the time they were 5 to right here and now. How much does that have to do with basketball? I don't know. Maybe none of it. And that's the point. That's the bigger point. It's the presence of all this nonsense and the different conversations that are had that have nothing to do with the betterment of the sport, to the cultivation of the art form that is much more important to me than the present times of your little business and y'all making your little money and then handling your little lives. Because these moments that we're capturing, especially since we have such beautiful footage of it now, unlike what we had in the 20s, they're going to be seen for 500, 600, 700 years. They're going to be able to watch Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. They ain't going to care about how much money the people made that day, how much money your conglomerate made. They ain't going to care. No, all I care about is, did I get a chance to see Kevin Durant play 300 years ago? How did he maneuver through the ancient game of basketball? How did he shoot? What was his form? That's what matters to the sport. That's what the game is really about. Not about your little moment, your little money, however you were able to live within the time frames you were alive. This is bigger than you. And if you don't realize it's bigger than you, then you're cheating all of space and time as it pertains to the art form or whatever it is. And we're not just talking about basketball. We're talking about any art form as it pertains to the deterioration of it by the ambition and greed of man. And so, yes, do we need to have business to keep cultivating and elevating the art form itself? Of course. Why? Because you need resources to continue to evolve. You know, it costs to get better. So we know you have to do business. But at the end of the day, if the business overtakes the art form itself and you start losing sight of what it is that you're actually trying to invest in, and that the purpose is to get the money rather than to invest into something, just piling money into a corner, you're not even putting it back into the sport, then you start realizing that you've lost yourself. As long as we're still focused on realizing and understanding that this is forever, what it is that you're doing here. These great players, the NBA's responsibility is to be able to display them not just for the people who are alive right now, but for their kids, their grandkids, their great-grandkids, the great-great-great, so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. And so if we're not thinking like that with these great players that we only get for 20 years, 15 years, when we're going to be celebrating them for 100 years and 150 years, then I guess that's what my purpose is, to help us really see exactly what this is about. Especially when you have someone elite as Kevin Durant, elite as LeBron James, elite as Kyrie Irving. Bro, we only get these guys for a little bit. You know, I'm talking about my hero, Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I was able to watch him for 20 years. Man, Lord called him home. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You think I care about whatever dispute was going on when he was talking about leaving and going to Chicago or going to the Clippers? You think I'm thinking about that? You think I'm thinking about his disputes, whatever happened with Shaq? You think I care? No. I'm going back watching moments. The Portland games when he hit 2 3-point shots at the buzzer. The game where he was able to lob it to Shaq against Portland once again. I'm going back. I'm looking at his plays with Powell. I'm looking at his plays with Meta. I'm looking at his plays with Lamar. I'm looking at his old stuff that he did in the Olympics and all the different various accomplishments, even his Drew League footage. I'm going back and looking at those moments, and I'm going to be revisiting those moments for the rest of my life. And my kids are going to know about those moments. And because, as I said, they're in such great clarity, their kids may be able to watch those moments, and their kids will be able to watch those moments. You know what else they're going to be able to see? Do you know what else they're going to be able to see? All the chatter surrounding those moments. The way y'all talk bad about those players, the way you broke down Russell Westbrook's problems, you made fun of them. It was funny today. Is it going to be funny 100 years from now? Is it going to be funny 200 years from now? Are we looking at Skip Bayless the same way? Are we looking at Stephen A. Smith the same way? Do they care? They should. I do. I know you may see this 100 years from now. I know that. And that's why I'm trying to give a retort to the norms of today that I know don't give good energy. They ain't getting good energy when they doing that, bullying people for what? To entertain me? I'm not entertained by that. Why? Because I'm not thinking about today. That's today's norm. That ain't forever. Bad energy is going to always be bad energy. You can treat an animal bad and it's going to come back and beat you up. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't matter when or what the organism is. You treat it poorly, it's going to be received poorly. Just because we've conditioned ourselves to think that that's good, it ain't good. And it won't be seen as good long term. So can we get back to treating each other properly? Not confining each other within these circumstances, within a system that does not work, that ain't meant for today, that needs to be upgraded. And it's going to take time to do so, but we got to communicate, work with one another, understand each other's interests, give each other a little bone here or there on both sides, players, association, alike. And remember what the hell you're doing. Kevin Durant, you're a basketball player that needs to be studied for ever, bro. Literally. Like ever. This ain't the time to walk away. Never, ever walk away unless you just don't have it no more. Russell Westbrook, honestly, brother, same thing. Get better. I don't give a damn if you used to be a superstar who can jump out the gym. If you want to stay in the NBA, you got to get better at things you're good at. You're not good at, brother. It's forever, bro. It's not for now. It's not for now. And don't worry about the chatter, because remember, they're going to be remembering, they're going to see them too. And they're going to see them differently. Some of that stuff ain't aging well, but your art form will. How you handled your stand, how you stood on what mattered will. Remember, hindsight is 20/20. Foresight doesn't have such wisdom. So we're all wrong until we're proven. We're all right until we're proven wrong, obviously. But you know what I'm trying to say. It takes understanding for people to come to a conclusion. Until then, we're all just waiting to see understanding. Until then, we're going to react to things ignorantly. So yeah, we're going to rah-rah and laugh at Russell Westbrook until we see the fallout of what all of that actually does. Hopefully not too bad. But that energy doesn't add to anything positive most of the time when it's applied to people's lives. The fallout is usually not good. But for the moment, it's entertaining. I'm not for the moment, man. Everything I do is supposed to be considered forever. Good and bad and the ugly, man. And so, that's all I got to say. That's really it. I want to see the system get revamped. I want people to stop talking crazy about Kevin Durant just because he wants out of a situation. That doesn't look great. I want Josiah to see my angle. See my angle. Because I don't care about your money, bro. But I do expect that you will continue to invest in the art form. And if an owner of an NBA doesn't understand that aspect of it as an desire from within the fan that you're trying to promote to, then you're out of touch. Because that stuff matters to me, and I'm going to make sure it matters to the rest of the fans who pay attention to me too. We're going to evolve as fans. You better believe that. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.